So we almost think of it less like entertainment and more like parasympathetic reps, like I just mentioned. It's a small, repeatable practice that's easier for me than doing breath work or meditation, but it shifts our nervous system with zero stakes attached. Attention chiropractors, slayers of subluxation, unleashers of the imprisoned impulse, and protectors of the developing brain. Welcome to the Cranial Doc Podcast, where we master the work that actually changes lives. Craniopathy, nervous system-based care, and the business systems that let you scale without selling your soul. I'm Dr. Anthony Pellegrino, pediatric chiropractor, certified craniopath, and proud automation geek. Let's dive in. What's up there, subluxation slayers? I have been just on a recording tear today, which means that you get a very caffeinated, pumped up, off the cuff, different episode about my favorite sleep hack that I hand out to patients more than just about anything else. Again, of course, they're already under chiropractic care. They're already under craniopathy, most likely, because the results that we get with just sleep quality, airway, is unlike anything out there. And it's just something else, a right now strategy to add in. It's not melatonin. It's not magnesium. It's not even a weighted blanket, although that is awesome. Who doesn't love a blanket hug? It is stand-up comedy. So when a patient tells me that their mind won't sleep and shut off at night, of course, we want to know about caffeine timing. What are they doing before? Sitcoms, dramas, true crime, the news. These are all different things that your patient might be watching. And that's all the stuff that plays in the background that stops them from actually getting a good night's sleep. So I want you to talk to them about not watching, but listening to stand-up comedy. So today, I'm going to walk you through why this works, the neurological mechanism, of course, and then bring it back to something we talk about constantly on this podcast, which is nervous system adaptability. So here's what I tell people. If they already like stand-up comedy, pick a comedian that you already like, not necessarily a new special that you've never seen. Although for me personally, this is my hack. When I listen to stand-up at night, if I can't sleep, I fall asleep right away. And my HRV scores show me that I actually am getting deep quality of sleep at night, which was one of my things that I was nervous about when I first started actually doing this, which is great. That's me. I have other patients do this as well, and they say the same, especially if they're wearing something like a Whoop, right? I personally like to go through, find a comedian that I like, maybe I've been listening to a little bit, and go like start to finish, night after night, going through their entire discography. But listen, that's me. I am a freak. So I like to put it on nice and quiet when we get into bed, no volume, lights off, and just let it play. Don't watch it. Just let it play. Jump on Spotify and let it run in the background while you're lying there. So something that I noticed doing this, which is really funny, is that, when you look at a stand-up album, there's all different tracks, like different bits. If I could go through, it probably takes me a good 14 to 30 nights to actually get through and remember a full stand-up special, because you're falling asleep almost right away, which is awesome. That's the point. You're not trying to finish it. I've had patients tell me the same thing. They've watched the same hour of comedy or listened to the same hour of comedy probably 40 times and still can't really tell you what the different bits are. So why does this work better than almost anything else that people try to fall asleep to? This wasn't just a hunch that I had in the shower. I was going through a rough time a couple of years ago. I mean, when I say rough time, what I mean is that my practice was in overdraft for a 3-month period, and we had $3,500 in a year in overdraft fees. So practice is hard in the beginning when you first get started, especially when you aren't being yourself and aren't charging appropriately. But you're not going to make the same mistakes that I did, which is why you are listening to this podcast. So anyway, I'm going through this rough time, and I have this CA that she shouldn't have been with us. It wasn't the right fit, but whatever. She was also going through a rough time. She was going through a divorce, and just was like, she would fight with her ex on the way to the office. And it would be like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde the whole day in terms of what her attitude was and how well she was performing. So I sat down with her, and I notoriously just like keep people too long. It's something I'm working on. And I was trying to give her opportunities to do better, right? And I just was like, I don't know, how do you get out of this? Like, what's going on? Because it's like, she had like a 30-minute drive to the office. And I was like, how, you're so angry when you get here. I can tell when I leave the door, like, what's going on? And we were just kind of talking about different things. And then there was like a week period where she was like just doing way better and just like not really bringing things to work. Kind of sat down with her. I was like, hey, like what's going on? Things are doing a little bit better. She's like, yeah, I started listening to stand-up comedy on my way to work. And I can tell like about 15 minutes in, I went from just being really angry at my ex, and I start like laughing, and I get here and I'm in like a really good mood. And like, I'm just really focused all day. She's no longer with us for other reasons. But anyway, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then so I mentioned I was having a rough time because I'm trying to go to sleep at night. And I was like, man, I just can't fall asleep. I'm thinking about all the different problems in my life. Why don't I just try it? And I put on a stand-up comedy, and I was just right out. And I've been trying night after night after night, and I would fall right asleep. And I was thinking about why this works for a number of different reasons, right? If you think about it, for me, like the number one thing that was keeping me awake at night wasn't the noise or the light. It was the rumination. It was the brain running the same loop of all of tomorrow's problems, all of today's mistakes on repeat. I should have emailed that person. I can't believe that person said no to care. If you have kids, what the kid's schedule looks like, that stupid thing that you said, that thing that that person said to you and what you should have said in response, but you just sat there and did nothing. Your brain is looking for something to chew on. And if you don't give it something, oftentimes it might go and find the worry pile on its own. A dramatic show or a thriller or true crime or even the news before bed, it will also give you something to hold on to. And let's be clear, those are not very parasympathetic things. Those are parasympathetic things. Those are very, very, very sympathetic. It comes packaged in your brain as a threat. There's cliffhangers. It's written with danger, injustice, something unresolved that you need to know the ending of. It's like a story that's going, but it is like there's a stimulation. There's a hook buried in it that you have to pay attention to versus just jokes and bits that go in the background. If you are a comedy fan, I'm a big fan of Mike Birbiglia, and I don't really listen to him at night because I think he's an amazing storyteller. And he has these beautiful through lines that go all the way through his comedy specials, and which is great, and I love watching, but not really great to go to sleep with. More of a like Dave Attell, Skanks for the Memories. That's what's going to put me right to sleep. But if you've never listened to that comedy album, put it on when your kids are asleep. That is fantastic. That's Dave Attell, Skanks for the Memories. Anywho, stand-up doesn't typically, other than Mr. Birbiglia, carry that through line. It occupies our attention, but there's no real overarching plot or danger or ending that we're just trying to get to the end of. Our brain isn't going to run the like, what's wrong about tomorrow? What did I do wrong? At the same time, it's paying attention to these small little stories that don't really translate from one to one. But then the next amazing thing is what I'm sure you probably thought I was going to go first, which is going to be the vagus nerve, right? A real laugh is very, very, very parasympathetic. And there's a breathing pattern that's also built into it. We can hold our breath for the punchline and then a longer exhale when it lands. That longer exhale relative to the short inhale is the same pattern that we see and is a very parasympathetic pattern. That's why if we're doing an adjustment that's more uncomfortable, I will naturally have the patient breathe in for 4. Let's say that I want to do a release in the exhalation phase or adjustment in the exhalation phase. I'll have them breathe in for 4 and count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then exhale for 8. So we elongate the exhalation phase more than the inhalation phase, and I count to 8. So A, they have predictability. They know when it's over, it's not going to take forever because I'm counting in, telling them what I'm going to count to, out, and how long I'm going to count. So it gives them the predictability, so they're not just uncomfortable, don't know when it's going to end, but also the extended exhale is parasympathetic for their nervous system. And that is built into what happens when we laugh or when we smile or how our breathing changes. The vagus nerve is the main wiring that's responsible for us making that shift. So whether it's an exhale from a real laugh or just the smile on our face, which I will often just be cracking up in bed, like listening to this, just laughing, especially when it's more raunchy comedy. Either way, there's a physical release that will happen with the shoulders and the jaw, and our body is doing this like parasympathetic rep. So we almost think of it less like entertainment and more like parasympathetic reps, like I just mentioned. It's a small, repeatable practice that's easier for me than doing breath work or meditation, but it shifts our nervous system with zero stakes attached. So anytime we're doing breath work or talk my vagal tone, or we explain why a kid's nervous system needs practice moving between the states, not just being sympathetic, not being parasympathetic, this is something that really makes it so much easier. Laughing is just the lowest stakes version of breath work that we could possibly get. And it also, third thing, if we're choosing a comedian that we have already heard before, familiarity is predictability. It's safety. It's a known voice speaking to us, right? A known rhythm. That's the important thing. Good comedy is always done in a clear and specific rhythm. In fact, you could probably listen to your favorite comedians and know who it is just by the rhythm in which they tell jokes. Like Jerry Seinfeld has an exact rhythm for every single punchline that he has. Like that's why he's so impressionable. But the familiarity is predictability. A known voice, a known setup, a known punchline with no specific plot to track throughout. Your nervous system at night is often scanning for threat, even when you're safe in your own bed. It's just that familiarity helps keep a piece of that scanning alive and allows it to find something familiar to be able to latch onto. I think that that's the same mechanism of why a white noise machine works and why a new unidentified sound in the house will wake us straight up. It's also the reason that safety, why people who sleep in bed with a partner, as long as that partner isn't listening to annoying stand-up comedy, get a better quality of sleep than those who don't. Because being with a partner is safety. It's predictable. If a bear attacks, we have safety in numbers. If we're doom scrolling, putting light in our eyes, it's also unpredictable algorithm and built to spike a reaction every few seconds. So there is a fourth piece here. We've already talked about a few different mechanisms, but there's a fourth that I didn't really consider until I really thought about it. And that's the audience. Now, most stand-up specials are recorded in front of a live crowd, so you can hear them laughing. You laugh with them. It's a positive social signal, like people are around you, nobody's in danger, everybody's fine, everybody's laughing. Isolation at night has to ramp up hypervigilance, but a room full of people laughing at the same joke, even if we're not there, it makes us feel more safety in numbers and is a massive polyvagal theory-based social signal that I just think is like the biggest unspoken thing, right? It's just a piece that I've never really thought about until doing research for this episode. And it's so much better than like a solo narrator reading before a bedtime story. Or for me, one of the reasons that I think when I tried doing this with comedy podcasts, I didn't get the same effect. I was listening to the conversation. I thought it was going to be good. But of course, there was more of a story through line, the conversation going back and forth than a solo narrator. But it's just the audience laughing. And not just a laugh track, but the real audience laughter, I think, that is the big piece here that is really missing. And one of the reasons that stand-up comedy specifically versus other type of comedy is what works best for this hack. So let's just go run these mechanisms backwards one more time. So here's what fails and why. True crime. It fails mechanism one immediately because there's threat and danger and unresolved tension that's built into the format on purpose. A new show that you've never seen. It fails because it is unpredictable. Your brain doesn't know the rhythm. It stays a little bit more alert than it needs to be. Possibly a movie that you've seen before. I could do something really similar to this. It's not as effective, but if I put on The Big Lebowski at night, I could fall asleep pretty quickly too because I've seen it 700 times and it's very predictable to me. I could tell you the exact words that are going to happen next. Doom scrolling social media. Again, that fails mechanism 1 and 3 at the same time. It is threat adjacent content. It's meant to hack your dopamine system. There's also zero predictability. And again, it's built by people whose entire job is hacking your nervous system. A guided sleep meditation for a lot of people will fail mechanism 4 because of course there's no audience, no room, and just one calm voice in an empty space. It's also, it's pretty predictable, but for me, it doesn't put me out. And it doesn't create enough of my brain focusing on something. I could listen to a sleep meditation and be thinking about all of the problems that I have tomorrow, it doesn't quite get my focus onto something that is safe the way that a comedy special does. Again, none of these are wrong choices. They're just not going to probably be as effective. Comedy hits all of these different mechanisms at once. And I've recommended this to hundreds of patients at this point. I've recommended this to patients who love stand-up comedy, who are like, that's the best idea ever. I have recommended this to very stern patients that have never listened to comedy, don't even like comedy, and they still have come back and said, I can't believe how quickly I fell asleep. So if you want to use this in your practice, it's easy. Ask them if they have a comedian they already like. If they don't, give them a recommendation. And let's say you know your patients. And for many of your recommendations, you might be like, if you want something clean and safe, Nate Bargatze is good. Beyond that, you know your patients. You tell them it's going to be a little raunchy. You'll make sure the kids are asleep when you listen to this. This is really funny, and make sure you don't give them something that's not PC enough. It bothers them a ton. Don't do video, just do audio. Just jump on Spotify, put on the playlist. You can set a sleep timer or not. I just let that thing frickin' run all night. And then I wake up, and then once the album is over, because I listen to the album, if I wake up, Spotify like shuffles what's next, and I'm like, well, I got to turn that off, because now there's all different comedians that are coming on track after track after track after track. It becomes unpredictable. I don't know what's next, so it doesn't necessarily work in my nervous system. If I feel like I need stand-up comedy to go back to sleep, if I do wake up, then I will go find another album, because I want it to be the same comedian for every track. If it jumps around too much on shuffle, unpredictability, it fails the test, and it doesn't actually help, right? All of these things just go on top of the stack of things that you tell your patients when they go to sleep. Dim the lights out before bed, cut caffeine by the early afternoon, keep a consistent bedtime routine, don't drink in the afternoon or in the evening, because it just tanks your quality of sleep. These are all the different things that I think are really important here. Patients might have objections, like I sleep next to my partner. Okay, put in headphones. Just give them something, help them out. I promise that, especially your patients whose hot button in your office is sleep, get your cranial care working, of course, get their nervous system parasympathetic, especially let the airway open the best way they can, give them the support. But for right now strategy, honestly, I promise this hack will be a game changer with recommendations. It will work so well in their mind. You completely will be the authority on this topic, because it's just such a simple thing that works so well. And of course, try it for yourself. If you have trouble sleeping at night, if your brain is 1,000 different places and you just can't stop thinking about all the problems of tomorrow, all the mistakes of today, just give Patrice O'Neill a shot. Give Dave Attell a shot. John Mulaney's got some good stand-up comedy albums. Go old school. There's tons of different albums out there. I was going to say something. I don't want you to judge me based off my stand-up comedy choices. But I've been all over the place. If it's on Spotify, I'll probably listen to it. Hope you have a great day. Get some good sleep tonight, listen to stand-up comedy, and go slay some subluxations in your office tomorrow. Catch you on the flip side. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Cranial Doc Podcast. I hope you got a ton of value out of today's episode. And if you did, it would mean the world to me if you jumped over to iTunes or your favorite podcast player of choice and subscribed, rated, reviewed, and shared this episode with a friend that you know could benefit. We have a ton of this information and more in our free email series at thecranialdoc.com. So go ahead and jump on there, subscribe, and get me raw, unfiltered in your inbox every week, changing your practice. Can't wait to see you for the next episode.